Start with Chris Fagan in the Lions, and Caro, his faith in his players is unwavering despite a 2-5 start. Here are his comments on the weekend.
It sounds all like doom and gloom, but this group has been so good for the last 5 years. I admire them and respect them for the efforts that they've been able to put in over the last 5 seasons. You know, I'm not going to sit here and bag the team for the way that they performed tonight. I'm in it with them, and the way forward is together.
Did you feel the effort was where it needed to be in the second half?
No. First half I thought was fine. Second half, that's well below par.
What do you put that down to?
It's a good question. I don't really know the answer at this point in time.
So struggling for answers. He's back the same group in. The stats are pretty significant. He's only played 28 players in the last this year, and no debutants in recent times. Only 2 in the last 2 years. Where do they go? Is he too emotionally connected to this group to be hard, or are they point now they need to make some decisions?
Well, he's doing what's worked for him, isn't he, Hutchie? They've won a lot of home and away games recently. They're a kick away from winning a premiership, and he'd be thinking, well, 8 games ago, we are literally a kick away from winning a premiership, and we were really good. 2 games ago, they were really good against Melbourne. But, Lordo, I know on another platform today, you were pretty scathing on the efforts from some of their players and where they're at.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly it can change. And as you said, Kane, I loved their grand final series or final series last year, but I'm just seeing things of why Rayner can't, produce 1 week to the next. Why is his, the gap between his best and worst so poor? The 2 we always talk about is Danaher and Hipwood. Why can't Harris Andrews play on an opponent like Sam Taylor can? So I think that's where it starts. And the question for them is, do they have the energy to go again? At the moment, it's suggesting to me they don't have the energy. And it's amazing, Cara, how many grand final teams get close and you think they'll go on with it, but they just don't because it's emotionally they're just not there.
And they fall away. I am surprised you've been so critical of his post-match presser. I mean, I think you've criticised a lot of people.
Kane said it was the worst press conference he'd
I haven't spoken about his
That was me.
Well, didn't you say he shouldn't be looking back at the past, or was that you? I'm sorry. I just can't understand why you wouldn't show the same sort of love and fatherly sort of behaviour towards your players that has got you not only last year but challenging for 5 years in a row. I can't understand why we're bagging a bloke for being honest when he says, I can't explain it.
Yeah, that was more around my criticism because I was watching at home going the third quarter. It was pretty easy to explain.
The third quarters have been a problem.
From where I was sitting, so that was the question, and he was out of answers there.
Well, why you explain it?
Because the pressure was, as you see, the effort and the pressure and the ability of the Giants to transition the ball, that was it. That was the game in a nutshell.
Yeah, but he can't understand why they're not responding with the pressure that they did a year ago. And at the moment, well, of course it is, and you would imagine behind closed doors he's trying to work that out. But it just staggers me that, you've got clearly no points in the bank. Money in the bank, despite what you've done for 5 years. And I don't actually mind honesty from coaches at times. I think if he's searching for answers, I think their players are as well. And I say again that I actually like the fact that he backed them to a degree as well. I didn't mind that at all.
Have they got to you today, Caro, the Lions?
Sorry? No, I haven't spoken to anyone from the Lions today. That's insulting.
No, because I think
I watched I read a column in the Herald Sun where it was said, they're in trouble when they're going back over the past. Well, why wouldn't you talk about these blokes who've done it for you in the past?
They have been as disappointing as it can be.
They've been dreadful. I think their third quarters, I think the worst.
You sounded surprised with Kane's comments when it's so clear to see that their effort just isn't there.
Oh, well, he knows that, but you're asking him why. I can't work out why. Mentally, they've dropped away for some reason. I think we all know. The elephant in the room here is that Craig has been a critic of Chris Fagan's coaching for a long time. Even when they were winning, he's been a critic and sort of implied that he was a great man manager but not a great tactician. I don't think the tactician could find an answer for this drop away at the moment. I think it's the man manager who needs to find the answers.
My point was that it was pretty simple to see what the issue was, and that was the criticism that I had. But Nathan Buckley,
he didn't have the answer. He knows
but he should have had the answer.
Is.
That's what he should have had the answer, and I thought he should have explained that. They would say, well, they did that with the players, and they're pretty clear on where the issues lie. But Nathan Buckley was really interesting on Chris Fagan's coaching style and where to from here.
I think the modern coaching has come a little bit more to trust and have faith and to walk with your senior players and your senior core and your locker room a little bit more than you would have done in yesteryear. And I think Fags has done that effectively well. What do you do now? So when your players aren't giving you the necessary effort, Chris Fagan has to separate himself in some shape or form from this tight connection that he has with his existing leaders, and he's got to change his language to stop talking about what they've done in the last 5 years and to start worrying about what they're doing right now.
So is he...
Yeah, all you can do is talk about the now and what went on in the last 24, 48 hours against probably the best running side in the Giants, who lost a heartbreaking preliminary final also. And here's some vision I'd show to some of the Lions stars, and this is one. This is Cameron Rayner, who isn't conditional enough. So he was next to Tom Green there. So they were together, and Tom Green ends up there, and then that sets up the young kid with his first goal. So that's what I'd be talking to Cam Rayner about, getting consistency in his game. This is Finn Callaghan, a star at the back of the stoppage. I'd be asking Dunkley, why are you just drifting into no man's land and letting a star get out the back of you? Why aren't you aggressive, shoving him in the back? This one's Hugh McCluggage, who's not quite there, up against Callan Ward, who played with an intent on the weekend that was there. So you watch Hugh McCluggage. Does he really want to defend for his life at the bottom of the stoppage? No, he's ducking out the back, hoping for his next kick. And then Callan Ward sets it up. And the last one, Hutchie, I want to show. These are the edits that I'd be showing, and they'll have a heart-to-heart themselves. This is Lachie Neale, who's up against Josh Kelly. So the ball's there to be won, but one's walking and one's on the move. And what happens? Well, then Kelly's ready to go because he's assertive. Neale's in no man's land, and then this is a result with an inside 50 kick. So that's where you start, and I'm sure the players will be honest enough with their effort not being there.
And look at the gaps in the clearance score difference, the contested possessions, the tackle difference, and all the metrics that they would have been disappointed about. Paul Roos joined the chorus of critics today, and he singled out a couple of big names.
What I'm seeing, particularly from some of their star players or so-called star players, is garbage, is absolute garbage. Well, if I look at Charlie Cameron and Joey Danaher, I mean, their efforts defensively, are terrible.
Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty strong and not dissimilar to what Lordo has said. But so at what point do you make a selection statement? And, I said a month ago and I said last year that just because you signed Eric Hipwood to a 7-year deal and you made that mistake, surely 6 touches a game isn't enough to justify your spot. And there's others that are bigger names that perhaps now start to have to pay the price at selection.
Maybe an unfair question, but a blunt one. Is he the man to take him to a premiership, Chris Fagan?
Well, he got pretty close.
I know
last year.
He got close. Can he do it?
Yes, but it's like asking every AFL club have they got a premiership coach. It's an impossible question to answer when they got so close.
It's not going to be this year, so it's just so he's running out of time.
One more thing, there was a lot of talk about a pre-season trip, an off-season trip that stuff may or may not have happened. The club have vehemently denied it had any effect. Do you think that what Chris Fagan has been through off the field, like Alistair Clarkson, although what he was accused of was far less, do you think that could have had some effect on him? I mean, the only change
what
this
do you
year...
Think?
Well, he had to go and appear at the Human Rights Commission. We know that he has vehemently denied everything that he's been accused of. I just wonder if there's been a bit of a mental toll there.
He's been a little grumpier than normal in his press conferences, and that would be one of the contributing factors.
Except we didn't see any sign of it last year when it was apparently a lot worse. Although
anyway, they draw things out a bit now, so they have an opportunity to turn their season around a little bit. And Kingsley,
they have to win at home.
They
have to win at home against the Gold Coast.
Yeah, and it's going to be a tough game for them as well with the Suns hungry. 16-4, Hutchie. So Adam Kingsley, just want to credit him. He was the coach of the Giants who beat the Brisbane Lions, and this was him. Not that he's still a young coach, he's only 30-odd games into his AFL coaching career, and this was him in the first 6 weeks. And we'd all sit here last year, and we'd all sit here and go, geez, is it already eating him up, the job of being...
Were you worried about him?
I was worried about him, yeah. I was worried, and I was also worried about what this was doing to the players and how he would go. But to his credit, he went down to the boundary where you can't carry on like that consistently. And since round 13 of last year, the Giants are 16 wins and 4 losses.